Good morning, New Eden. Today is January 16th, 2022, and this is the Federation Frontline Report, a podcast about faction warfare. I already fucked it up. I'm fired. And interviewing faction warfare and interviewing players of EVE Online. I'm your host, Samson, and today we will be interviewing a very, very special guest near and dear to my heart, Frozen Fallout, leader of the Federation Frontline. How are you doing today, sir?
Great. How you doing?
Apparently I had a stroke when we started. So
Oh, well, that happens.
I had a stroke. So today we're going to be interviewing you, which is, the tables have turned, the turntables have tabled, or something to that effect. I don't know the saying, but you, sir, are a man of many podcasts. How does it feel to be interviewed yourself on your own show?
So I have been interviewed before on a couple different shows for like Mage the Podcast and Muffin Labs and
I don't know what a Muffin Labs is.
It's basically all World of Darkness related podcast type stuff.
Gotcha.
But I have never really been interviewed on my own podcast, I would say, and it just kind of was something that I was like, and we like when I talked to you about this, you'd said that you talked about this with your other podcast about
I've been wanting to do that because I think it's an interesting thing. People might want to know more about the hosts of the show,
right? So I think this is like a get to know the hosts of the Federation Frontline Report. So
getting to know Frozen Fallout.
Yeah, just kind of something for us to kind of have a little bit of fun with. We can spend the next. So I'm going to be getting interviewed this week, and then next week you're going to be getting interviewed. So it's an interesting little thing that I'm just having fun with because it's my podcast. So and it's just me and you, and you said you were all about it. So
yeah, absolutely. I love interviewing people, and I want to know more about you, Frozen. Well, what made you start playing EVE?
So what made me start playing EVE is, so this takes us all the way back to 2003 during beta.
Jesus.
So when I first started playing EVE,
that's like 10 years before me, I think.
Well, and this is like a very small touch on EVE, which is basically like my buddy Coder introduced me to it. He said, "Hey, there's this new game in beta. You can get into the beta, and it's going to be they just did like an open beta, and you should check it out." And so I jumped on it, and I looked around for like I think maybe 2 or 3 hours, like trying to figure out what the hell this crazy game is, and I never looked at it again until 2005. And Coder said, "Hey, that game that we talked about back in 2003, it's out of beta now, it's live, and it's been going for a little while. We should check it out." And so him and my buddy Delavan and my buddy Kyle and a bunch of other people kind of got together, and we were like, okay, so we're gonna like start up a thing here, we're gonna start figuring this stuff out. And I just like fell off the wayside. I was doing a bunch of other stuff in the real life world, and I just didn't I didn't really know what the heck was kind of going on still with the game, and I just was like, I don't know if this is gonna be something people are gonna that my group is gonna be playing in the future, so I'm not really interested in it. And then I lost my account. And so I started up a whole new account in 2006, and they were giving out like tons of free, like, or in the beginning it was like 60,000 skill points or something like that. When my 2005 character, I don't know, it was like a small amount of skill points, and I didn't really train up the skill points at that point. I think I was on I just did the 14-day free trial or something like that, and I'd gotten to like cruisers. So this new account though was much better, and so I started off like a new account, Frozen Fallout, in the year 2006, and
still like fucking 8 years before I played, I think.
Yeah, so still, yeah, I am kind of old in this game. When people say like, oh, they're 2012 or something like that, I'm like, oh, a child. Like,
Yeah, I think I or Gwen is 2014. I'd have to look at it, but I'm pretty sure that's the number.
but really, I mean, a year in this game is a lot, and
Yeah, like
5
if you
years in this
spend,
game is a lot. Like,
yeah, it absolutely is. And well, you know, and a lot has happened in this year, this last year, and starting this year in Eve with you. A lot of stuff has happened that I've witnessed personally. So like it's crazy that how much can happen, in such a short period of time. But I mean, always talking to people, and I've seen you interview people on your show, these veterans that have been playing the game since its inception, and they're all like filthy rich because they did a bunch of stuff and they owned a bunch of things. It's crazy. And I mean, it's kind of similar because like I look at your kill board and like you've killed so much, ISK wise, point wise, sheer numbers of ship wise, and so like I'm still striving to be anywhere near that, and I just it takes time.
but I don't think
But
I answered the question exactly. The question is,
why did you start playing
why did
Eve?
I start playing Eve Online? Is because my buddies were playing it. So through
Yeah.
that story, you can kind of get the idea of it kept on being my buddies being like, "Hey, let's do this. Hey, let's do this." And finally, in 2006, he was like, we got a corporation that we're running. It's me and Sominus, and we're gonna be kicking some ass and taking some names, and Delevon's around, and so, all my old high school gaming buddies were all on here, and I was like, okay, let's do this. And so the community aspect of EVE Online is huge for me. My friends, the friends I
It
make
is.
in EVE, like the only reason why I play EVE is because I make really good friends. And it's a space sandbox MMORPG that really is ungodly big. Like, there's plenty of other
And
games I can be social with, and I
there's
am
so
social
much to
with.
do.
Right, but yeah, there's so much to do and so many people to meet. It's all one server, so
Mhm.
you can interact with so many different people. You don't have to go to a different server. Every MMORPG I've ever played has always been that
Yeah.
really annoying, like, oh, you're not on the right server. This gaming group and this gaming group both play the same game, but they're not on the same server. And I started over here, but now they don't play anymore, but you play, and now I have to pay money to move my character over, or they're both still playing, and I don't want to move my character over, so I got to start anew.
Mhm.
Um, the just sheer aspect of what EVE Online is really blows my mind, in how it's all one world. You can be part of the news. You can make your own news. Like, there's no reason to have a World of Warcraft news or a bunch of almost any other MMORPG
No,
out
because
there.
everything, there's so much player made content in and outside of the game. But I wanted to say hi to Steve Taylor TV. Thank you for joining us. He joined up with us recently.
Yeah, Steve is
Hi, Steve.
Steve's
Taylor,
epic,
yeah,
man.
and
And
Vithrak.
Yep, Vitak, who says that he also has his main made in 2006.
Yeah,
It's a good year. It's a good year. There's a lot of crazy
it's a
stuff
good year.
that happened around that time. So, that when I got into EVE, I started with like a small corp and went on to like bigger, crazier things almost
Yeah,
immediately. I got involved in the Great War of
yeah,
2006 almost
yeah. If you
immediately.
look at Frozen Fallout's Killboard, man, there's a lot of old stuff and a lot of big shit. I think it's like trillions. I believe it's trillions.
Yeah, I think it's like
Yeah,
1.6.
1.9 1.79 trillion on your killboard is destroyed,
And I
and
mean,
only
that's
55 bill lost.
I mean,
Comparatively, it's ridiculous.
a lot of that is being in big ass, huge ass alliances and taking
Yeah,
part in some really big, huge events, and killing some really big, huge ships and structures. So there's a lot of structures and stuff that I've killed over the years. So um,
but yeah. So this is a faction warfare podcast. I can't talk. correct me if I'm wrong. I know I'm the host right now and I can't talk, but this is a faction warfare podcast.
I believe so.
What is it, Frozen? What is it about faction warfare that you find so interesting? Why do you like faction warfare?
I like faction warfare because it's the one war in Eve that's never ending. Even there's like red versus blue out there, which is kind of cool, and is kind of like a never-ending war. But actually, I haven't heard much about them lately, and to be honest, it's one of those things that if it's player made, it's very much a possibility of it falling apart inside of the game.
True,
And there is
because people have real lives.
right, and it's led by players and stuff like that, and it's not part of the mechanics of EVE Online. Faction warfare is deeply embedded in the mechanics of EVE Online, and it is something that I don't foresee them shutting down anytime soon. And it's something that is a constant battle war zone area to live in. Regardless of whether you're in faction warfare or outside of faction warfare, I believe that faction warfare space is the best place to be if you're looking for PvP in a constant, everyday sort of way.
And it's good, like it's tiered, right? I mean, apart from traps and things, you can. I don't want to say get fairer fights. I want to say you can. It's easier to pick a fight, right? Like in a novice or a small or in a medium, where the type of ships that can go in.
And you have a reason to be there is another thing. You're not just doing it for just looking for kills. I like faction warfare, being in faction warfare, because it gives me a reason to be sitting in these plexes, whether it's trying to flip a system, trying to make a little bit of ISK, looking for a fight, and then just using it as a mechanic of, okay, I'm not going to be sitting here forever, because that's kind of something that was annoying when I was a pirate. I'd go into one of these plexes and I'd just sit there forever, I didn't have something to like trigger me to be like, okay, I should be moving on now. So it was just something to kind of do. And then it kind of, as a streamer, it's one of those things like when I'm plexing something, I expect somebody to come and try and fight me. And it just gives me, something to do as I'm running around streaming, trying to get fights.
Yeah, Vithrak says, although I wished individual pilots could do faction warfare without having to leave their current corp, although that seems undoable with the current structure. Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
It's kind of hard to do that.
The only way to get around that is by alts. That's one of the things I kind of want to encourage with a lot of people is that EVE Online is an alt-based kind of game. And if you want to check out faction warfare, throw an alt into faction warfare. Even an alpha,
just try it out.
Can do a lot in faction warfare. The frigate is a primary vessel being used in faction warfare. There is a lot of uses of a lot of other ship types, and you're not going to be the most powerful, but you can get into faction ships with a alt, with an alpha. And so there's no reason not to go check out faction warfare and have an alt that's just kind of fucking around in faction warfare. And to be honest, I think that it'd be cool if we had a lot of really low skill point alts running around shooting each other. Like, yeah, you have the more badass people, but you need to learn a lot of things in EVE, which is engage not just ship type, but who you're engaging. And as you start
who you're engaging, ship type, ship size.
Yep. Are they drug addicted crazy people who are going to like have everything?
Are they in a snake pod?
Right. Are they? What are you going to be facing off against? And you can learn so much about PvP in a much different way than just being in a gigantic fleet. There's also the social aspect of there's a bunch of fleets that are flying around in faction warfare, and you can join these.
Yeah, regularly.
A lot of them are open. To anybody in the militia, and you can learn some basic fleet mechanics and stuff like that if you're a 0.0 person that just does mining, but you don't do anything for fleet war, and you want to go check out some stuff, but you don't want to be part of the big gigantic super fleets, which is very different than what we have in faction warfare.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, and it's very different than what we have in our corp.
we call super gigantic like 30 people. What
Yeah,
0.0
exactly.
calls small is like 30 people. And
Yeah.
what 0.0 calls big is like hundreds, if not thousands of people that are going to be
Yeah,
fighting.
that's nuts. I can't do it.
I love that aspect of Eve in the sense of a viewer and not a participant. I'm not really
Yeah.
big into big, leggy, crazy, super fuck off fights. I am
Yeah.
into 30-man fleets fights are really awesome. I've always
Mhm.
enjoyed those, and it's always drawn me back. And the 10-man and 5-man fleet fights are just really interesting, really fun. You got to be on top of your stuff. And I see that when I screw up, it hurts the whole fleet. Like everybody is relying on each other kind of thing, and instead of just
Yeah.
being the F1 monkey, just pressing a button in order to kill whatever the hell's there. Now we do that sometimes when we're gate camping and shit like that. But it is
Yeah.
much more of a, we're just sitting around looking for a fight, looking for something to do, uh, and then we're going to be drinking and hanging out together. But it's not running around, leg infested, get stuck, have to do this for 5 hours, and if you don't do it, if you have to leave for any reason, like if my dog needs to go outside, I can get my 250 millionest ship killed plus, and then not get reimbursed because they're like, well, you just screwed up and didn't follow the fleet. Like, you should have just been with the fleet. It's like, well, my dog had to go out and I had to, I got left behind because
Yeah.
one man's not going to hold back an entire 150 man fleet.
Mhm.
So, so yeah, those are some of the reasons why I'm really into faction warfare. I just find it to be a really fun environment. The culture is fun. The Galente have always been a really fun culture to hang out with. Um, we've lost a lot of our old pirate group, but Aderon is still around, having a lot of fun.
And we're recruiting new people, like, every week
Yeah, absolutely.
in our corp, and, we're teaching them PvP. PvP is it's nuanced, there's a lot of things to it, but you can have a lot of fun with it too, and that's I think one of the things that you seem to really like is the having the fun part.
Yeah, it's all about fun for me, and that's the reason why I stream. Why I'm not like all upset about people that stream snipe. It sucks sometimes. I really like it when people stream snipe and bring like a closely even fleet with something that
Yeah,
can get, both sides are gonna, lose some shit, but we're gonna have a good fight with each other. But that's not required, that's just the way
or
that
someone
things are.
chases us in his Draugr.
Right.
And gets it. Um, so I've noticed a lot of your old friends lately when we've been out in fleets. X Meta has showed up in our space quite a bit now, and I believe we've had some fights with him. I personally have fought before this happened. I killed Silver. He had a Brutix, and I brought a Praxis, so it was not a fair fight, but it was fun. And X Meta, how are you related to X Meta?
Okay, so this kind of continues the story, the epic saga of Frozen Fallout, starting out in 2006. X Meta was this um, sister project to Mecha Enterprises Group, which is the first corporation I joined in EVE Online, which was run by my buddy Coder. Um, and so Mecha Enterprises Group kind of started off as just like a bunch of friends. There was like 4 to 5 of us who played EVE Online. We were trying things out. But immediately I was like, there's 0.0. There's crazy shit going on in this game. So I had to get out there and check out what the hell was going on in the universe. I'm not going to get deep into it, but one of the things I want to highlight is the Interstellar Alcoholic Conglomerate. Is a corporation that I joined that first got me really into PvP. And so this is kind of where the foundation of X Meta kind of comes from, is this aspect of Mecha Enterprises from my buddies that got me into EVE Online and 0.0 life that I was running, when I moved over to the Interstellar Alcoholic Conglomerate, which was in 2007, like early 2007. So right around that time, there was this huge war that was going on Just before the war had started, I had convinced everybody from Mech Enterprises group to kind of like join us. And after the war kind of ended, Interstellar Alcoholic Conglomerate kind of went back to its peacetime, but I believe that there was a lot of craziness that was kind of going on because they were part of the goon side of things. They were part of this like southern fight against Bob and McFix and stuff, and they were partnered with AAA, and so things kind of like fell apart in that kind of area. And I just remember like McFix Firing Squad, the corporation that I joined, like ended up completely falling apart. And so everybody that was in Mech Enterprises group reorganized back into Mech Enterprises group, and then the Imperium War happened with faction warfare. So immediately I was like, okay, I gotta check this shit out. I need to see what's going on here with this war that's happening, because we wanted to make our own like corporation and stuff like that. So I ended up like joining the Federation Defense Union first and just checking that out, and then joining like Micro Funks in the very beginning, and then trying to get Mech Enterprises group to really be part of it. And then I kind of like took like a break from faction warfare, moved on to like 0.0 for a little while, but ended up like coming back and starting up at Mech Enterprises fleet, because X Meta was this whole concept that I'm just going to be the war fleet of Mecha Enterprises group. So we ended up creating this like crazy thing, and for about a year and 4 months, I kind of like ran this X Meta, Warzone, blood frenzied, crazy, group of people who were just gonna like murder things. And then things kind of like died down in our group. People started going AFK and doing other things. And so I found that this was like a time that I was like, okay, maybe I want to go back out to 0.0. Things were really, being really quiet in the corporation. And I didn't feel like expanding the corporation or recruiting new people. It was a lot of just of us buddies kind of doing this kind of thing. So I ended up going out to 0.0, joined AAA for like a little while, but then came back. It was only 1 month that I was really out of faction warfare, to go check out to see what 0.0 life was like, and it sucked. So I came right back, and I was like, okay, so let's check out faction warfare again and start this corporation back up and really push it this time. And so for the next 2 years, I ended up running Mecha Enterprises fleet. We joined the Valor Accords. We really built up our numbers. Things were going really well for us, and I got hit by a goon party. So one of my buddies who had been part of Mech Enterprises fleet had joined up with the goons, and they had a party in the city that I live in. And so I went there and checked it out, and I was like, these guys are super fun. They're super cool. This seems like this would be something that I would be really interested in, but I didn't want to like half-ass Mecha Enterprises fleet since it was doing pretty well. So I was like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this on over to Pyronactic, was the person that I handed it over to. It's now in control by Contraband, but I kind of like handed it off to him. We had left Valor Accords. We had kind of done our own kind of stuff in faction warfare at that point. And I was like, things are going pretty well. You guys take care of it. It's your corporation now, and do what you want and kick ass and take names out there. And then for the next like 6 years, I went to Goonswarm. So all the stuff that kind of happened with Fed Up and all the stuff that happened with X Meta after I left is all 100% Pyronactic, and I believe Contraband is like the big person that pushed a lot of stuff, and we fight them all the fucking time now. It's great. It's really cool to see a corporation that I founded and ran for 2 years back in the neighborhood of faction warfare and fighting me and beating us sometimes. I mean, they're good pilots. They're a bunch of fucking badass. You know, small gang. They have a lot of fun. But we do get to kill some of their good shit too, and you know they
Yeah.
do run really expensive shit sometimes. So.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's basically the relation that I have with them. Is I haven't really been in contact with them since I left. I've been minor contact here and there with them, but in the end, it's really just been like, yeah, I'm the old founder, and I'd say hi to them every once in a while and talk to them.
Hey,
But
and then we shoot each other. So, Golden Age Stories is the creation. It's like the. It's like everything, right? Including Federation Frontline Report. It's all your podcasts and it's all your stuff. Like, what made you create Golden Age Stories?
So Golden Age Stories is like a little project that I've been kind of working on for many years now. We've gone by different names throughout things, and we haven't had a solidified LLC until Golden Age Stories. And so I was always trying to think of a name and come up with a concept of because this is all kind of stems from me doing a bunch of stuff at conventions. So I used to
Mhm.
run events at conventions for Gen Con and for um, Midwinter and for Origins, and you know, kind of went around to all these different cities and ran all these games for tabletop RPG World of Darkness games, kind of like Dungeons and Dragons. Um, so I would go around and do all these things, but I was like, okay, I want to make this into an LLC, but I want to make like a solid name for it. And I was just talking with my buddy. He's like, you should just call it Golden Age Stories. And I was like, yeah, like, you know, like a golden age of stories. And he's like, yeah, but it should be your last name. And because my last name is Golden, Guldan, which um, is kind of like a twist on that whole thing. It's like my age of stories that I'm doing here. And so it just kind of stuck with me, and I was like, you know what, this is my corporation. I'm a solo, you know, individual making this LLC, you know, and so when I made the LLC, I made it Golden Age Stories, and then in Eve, I was like, well, I got to throw this, you know, I play Eve Online, and I love that game. There's corporation you can make in there, so let's go ahead and make an Eve Online corporation based on my LLC, and add that into my streaming repertoire of stuff, because you know I was doing podcasting and actual plays on Twitch before really getting into streaming Eve Online. I did, you
And
know, touched it every once in a while, but really getting into it these days.
And for the listeners, Golden Age Stories, that's the corporation that we are in, and it is recruiting. We want more faction warfare people, more PvPers, people that want to learn PvP and or support it. You know, I mean, we have like Red in chat. I didn't officially say hi to Red in chat. How you doing, Red? He supports us. He's making more kikis for me now because I'm getting them blown up. But speaking of back to faction warfare and Golden Age stories, recently we created Golden Age Empire, and recently something happened to Golden Age Empire. Frozen. What are those details?
Yeah, so the story of Golden Age Empire kind of this goes back to like the creation of Golden Age stories when I first kind of like started this thing, was that Relic Bloodlore, one of my really good buddies, who'd been, he used to live in the same city as me. He lives in a different city now, and we haven't really got to hang out as much lately. He was like, "I'm coming back to Eve," and I was like, "Cool, let's make a corporation together." You know, I want to go back to low sec and do my own thing. So you know, and I could get back into playing Eve again. So I'm gonna jump back into Eve and make Golden Age stories with him. And so we ended up making this, like, we wanted to make like the Golden Age Empire, right? So it kind of started off as this really weird thing between two buddies that are just gonna have a little bit of fun. I can make alliances, so I made an alliance called the Golden Age Empire. And immediately upon dropping our first Athenor in Nissawa, it gets blown up by the Nissawa cartel. And so we're like, fuck. Okay, well, what are we gonna do here? And we're like, oh, maybe we'll move over to Taurus. I mean, we're just checking things out. We just wanted to see what would happen if we dropped an Athenor. We expected it to get blown up, but we were like, okay. But you know, the good thing that did come from it is that the Nissawa cartel got a hold of us, and they're like, what the fuck did you do that for? And we were like, well, we were just trying to set up a drug lab and seeing what would happen if we set up a drug lab. And they're like, well, dude, just join our alliance, and then you can set up a drug lab. And we were like, fuck yeah. So we joined up with the Nissawa cartel, and we did that for like about 7 months. And that's when I met you, you know, and that's when
that's when I came on.
I was doing interviews for Crossing Darkness for EVE Online, and a special that I called Interview with an EVE Online Player, kind of like Interview with a Vampire, you know, ha ha ha. And so it was a fun little thing that I kind of was doing. And the Nissawa cartel was great. It was a lot of fun being part of the Nissawa cartel. They're friends with Snuff. Our structures were safe, and everything was going really well with them. But I had been getting like the itch to go back to faction warfare, and it's been something that I had been thinking like, man, I could do a podcast for faction warfare. I could do all these like have like a whole focus on, because we weren't growing very much, you know. It was some people like you kind of were brought on, and Tacky was brought on. We had a couple people that kind of came in for a short time, but
yeah, and really, I didn't even like at first. I made an alt and I dipped my toe in, and then I still didn't move Gwen until like, you know, like weeks after the initial. Okay, I might as well do this.
Right. So, and then it was, we were making buddies with Joe, was the big tipper of the whole thing. And so we were like, okay, we're gonna go back to faction warfare, and Joe Bain and Average Pilots was like, we're gonna come with you, we're gonna make. And I'm like, okay, so we got to make an alliance in order to do this. And I'm like, I've got an alliance, it's called the Golden Age Empire. I don't know if that works for you. He's like, as long as I can be emperor, I'm great with it. And I was like, fuck it, you're emperor, we don't need to spend $1 billion ISK on a new alliance name, and we'll just resurrect the Golden Age Empire and just have a lot of fun with the idea of Joe being the emperor. You know, he's a pretty popular guy. Lots of people know about him. We can make him emperor. We can have all these memes.
Joe Bain.
Yeah, so, you know, Samson had a whole thing where he had all these jokes lined up on, like, Emperor Joe Bain can one punch the sun. And,
Joe Bain jokes, yeah, the Joe Bain jokes, which are literally just Chuck Norris jokes, but it was really fun. It was fun, and it worked, and I would be like, we'd be in fleet, I'd just be like, check, Joe Bain. You know, like I don't even remember off the top of my head any of them.
But yeah, so it was just a lot of fun kind of thing, and we had a lot of fun with it. But in the end, Average Pilots really didn't like faction warfare. They didn't like that they had forced blues, that there was a lot of blues that they had all of a sudden
locked out of stations.
Being locked out of stations, dealing with faction warfare mechanics was not fun for them, and they didn't feel like they were making any real money off of this, because, you know, they were really in it just for killing stuff. We were at tier 1, we were getting our asses handed to us by the Keldari, like right when we joined is right when like the entire war zone collapsed. And so we came in at one of the most hardest points, and in the end I think that Joe and the Average Pilots wanted to be more of a tight-knit badass pirate group with a lot of targets all over the place, and doesn't want to deal with blues and building like this community in faction warfare. Because it is filled with a lot of just random people, and anybody can join, so it adds like this kind of barrier in there, and it was not something they were looking for. One of the things that I really wanted to do, though, was be more community and faction warfare oriented, and so we kept the Empire alive, and it really was just a joke at that point. It's just we were just having fun with it. We made a video about me becoming emperor, and
Mhm.
but in the end, I didn't like the branding of Golden Age Empire.
Mhm.
I like my corporation being Golden Age Stories, but I don't. We were not building an empire especially without average pilots. We're not building an empire anymore. We're doing something different now, and so I felt that the rebranding was needed, and one of the big things that kicked us in the ass was that Snuff came over and blew up our structures, and that peace accord that we had with them through Nissawa Cartel had fallen. And I felt like
Dissolved.
we didn't have any structures anymore. We're not really an empire. We lost average pilots. We lost our structures. Let's make a funny video about us losing Notorious structures and about how it forced us to become the Federation Frontline. And I like the branding a lot better because we're already the Federation Frontline Report. It
Mhm.
feels much. I mean, basically, if we were part of the Amar, I feel like the Golden Age Empire might have worked for branding. Like, I
Yeah,
think it might have.
Empire.
Um, but the idea behind it was like, I want to make sure that it's established that it's not like a committee of people making decisions, that it's going to be one person making decisions. I don't believe in EVE Online having a committee of people uh, making decisions for the organization. I do strongly believe that there needs to be one person leading the group, for one CEO, kind of thing, running the organization. Um, and so that kind of is why I picked like Empire at first. And at first we weren't going to be a faction warfare organization, and then Nissawa Cartel was originally a faction warfare, so we went back into faction warfare, and then they left it. And anyway, so it's been all over the place. So, but I feel like the Federation Frontline is a much more cool branding opportunity for us, and just a lot more fun that we can kind of have with it. And it fits way more with faction warfare.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we have some fun news. And thank you, Frozen, for being on and being interviewed.
Well, thank you for
Uh,
interviewing me. I didn't know whether you'd be down for this, and I'm happy to hear that you were immediately like, yeah, let's do that. That's
Absolutely.
cool.
Yeah. I love
Meet the
interviewing
meet the
people.
hosts.
But you saw something interesting happen earlier. I think it was today.
Yeah, so apparently there's like this whole thing going on out in 0.0, where a Keepstar loot pinata got blown up in 0.0. Um, and the whole like thing about this is that it's the first Keepstar to get abandoned in 0.0, and it was a army of mangoes tried to sneak into the Imperium basically through the folding into Ranger Regiment, and the Imperium basically got a hold of one of their staging fortizars in this like transfer of structures and stuff like that to become part of the Imperium. And they were like, wait a minute, so this is filled with a whole bunch of mango shit. Well, fuck these guys. We don't want them in our alliance. This backdoor bullshit is ridiculous. So we're just going to abandon the structure. And, none of our guys should really have anything inside of it. And everybody should get their shit out if they have abandoned, asset safety. And then we're just going to blow it up if there's anything left in it. And fuck with the mango. So this kind of brings up two things for me. One is that it's kind of crazy that this is a possibility in Evan. It's happening like right now. There's still looting, I think, going on, or at least it was just before I came on. It's like hours and hours of looting that's going to be happening now.
Yeah,
Um, and
Keepstars are huge.
yeah, and there was like tons of loot that dropped, super carriers, capitals,
Jesus
just
Christ.
unbelievable amount of loot. Because yeah, you can asset safety, but you got like 3 days. Like,
Mhm.
how many people take a break from Eve for 3 days? A lot. A lot of
Mhm.
people do. Especially when it was a staging Fortizar, or sorry, not Fortizar, Keepstar in 0.star. So it's the first one to ever go abandoned. And they're thinking of like trillion to trillion plus trillions of ISK that could be been stored inside of that thing. But now there is a bunch of like fighting that's happening over it. Basically, like everybody got together and like flew in their shuttles, test, and all the frat and shit had like a Fortizar right there. So they tried going in and stealing a whole bunch of shit and blowing up a bunch of shit too. So there's a bunch of fighting that is happening. I think that's really cool. However, I don't think it's really cool. I think since it's in game, and you have to deal with it and you have to be aware of it, which is why I have vowed to not go back to any player-owned structures, because that's a possibility. I don't want to, and especially since I live in low-sec, I'll put shit that I'm 100% willing to lose inside of a player-owned structure now, but I am very aware that I could get fucked over at any moment with those assets, because I might take a break for 3 days and they get spilled out into the universe instead of into asset safety. I think that aspect is stupid, but it's there. And if it's going to be there, it is interesting that it does generate this kind of content. There is some cool content that does come from it. But I just think it's a real kick in the balls from CCP when they came out with this and said that would not happen. And that you would always have, your assets would be safe. And then it was like months later or whatever going back on that. I don't know. That just kind of, I think, was ridiculous. But if it's there, it's still, I'm not like really upset about it as much as I just think it's kind of stupid, but it is kind of cool stupid. Like there's content to be made from it, and there's news to be had from it for sure, and I'll talk about that shit for sure.
Yeah, so I think we have a little bit of time left here, and I think maybe we wanted to talk about our last drunk fleet. We had a couple of things that happened last Wednesday, our Wednesday night fleets, which is our usual.
And if you really want to be on our Wednesday night fleets, just come on out and ask for in chat, that you want to, we stream it. So just in chat, just be like, hey, can I come and join you guys? And we'll work out a way for you to just join the Federation Frontline chat in EVE Online, and we'll get you in.
Yeah, and you can come out with us and not be in faction warfare.
Right, yeah, lots of people.
We're gonna shoot stuff regardless. Like a lot of this stuff is not faction warfare, you'll see, because we tend to start with a gate camp, or I think in this case we did a fleet roam, but it was more like a roaming gate camp. We were doing faction warfare missions, I believe.
Yes, yeah. So we did try out the whole like faction warfare mission things. We only grabbed 2 missions in Fleet and then just kind of went out and ran them to see if we could even do it. But yeah, it was really easy and a lot of fun, actually. I thought that was really kind of cool because it got us out there moving around. We gate camped all over the place and we got some fun kills. So yeah, let's go over those kills.
Yeah, so the first kill we got was actually a poor Neris that was, I believe, once again autopiloting into our gate camp at the very beginning of the stream.
I think we gave some money to that guy.
Yeah. Well, one of the funny things about it was this poor guy was only carrying frozen food.
Just frozen food.
He was just carrying
a shit ton of frozen food.
A shit ton of frozen food.
We gave him some money because we felt bad for his plight.
That was funny though. I mean, it's practically empty, man. There's nothing on this thing, just cargo. And then I believe we ran into in Pinecosto, we caught a thorax at the Rakapas gate. Pen is out. I think they got a bit wrecked is what happened here. I think this was I mean, Caracals and Gnostises, and yeah, this guy got wrecked. Wasn't too pricey either, but they did drop 19 mil. Not bad.
It was a good little gank that we got,
We got a little gank, and that was when we were on the move.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then there's a capsule. Oh yeah, there was this Helios. There
Oh
was this
yeah,
Helios
this
that came
weird
through. God damn
this
it.
Helios that suddenly appears. Like, okay, so there was like a little bit of a fleet fight that we were in, but it was more of like we were trying to catch anything that we could possibly catch when they were a bunch of frigates and shit jumping through a gate. And I saw that there was this Helios, and I don't know
Yeah.
why like open fire should be blue, but it wasn't. It was blue to the Alliance, not the any case, I saw Gwen in a, or not Gwen, it was Emma, right? Emma. So I saw Emma. I saw a Helios, and I was like, "Ooh, shoot the fucking
Shoot it!
Helios!
Shoot the fucking Helios!" And I was like, "No, it's my eyes!" And then it was dead before I could say
I was
anything.
like, "Oh man, there's a decloaked Helios. We gotta murder this man."
And then I think later you were like, "Can we get eyes in?" And I was like, "No, we can't.
No,
FC,
we got
eyes
no
are dead. Eyes have been logged off. They died."
I felt so bad.
She does. I asked her. She didn't want to. She doesn't want to fly
She
with you
doesn't want
right
to
now.
fly You're an asshole. Okay, so
Doesn't
we
fly with
fixed
you right
that.
now.
We fixed that. That's not gonna
Yeah,
happen
we're fine.
again.
I don't remember this venture. This is a.
Oh yeah, it was just like a.
It's just one we caught. I think.
Yeah, it was just like sitting on gate for some reason. Oh, we thought it was gonna be a Sino.
Sino.
Yeah, because
yeah. Then we blapped it.
Yep, we just.
But then we had a little exchange here. Let's see if I can go to related. That should bring it up. Caught this deacon, but it was because we were fighting a fleet that came in. I clicked on related, right? It's still loading, just taking forever. Come on. Did I lose internet? Well, I would know that, I guess.
You're here, so.
There it goes.
Oh, there we go. So.
The Helios is in that loss. No, this isn't.
Yeah, that's not the full.
That's not fucking related. Okay, I don't. Maybe the Deacon was not related then. I think it was the Bifrosts.
Well, the Bifrost definitely was in the fleet fight. We got into like a fleet fight with a bunch of little stuff.
And they booshed us all over the fucking place.
Yeah, they booshed us, and you know we had a fun little fight with. We got a Kiki out of theirs. Yeah, we killed a Kiki of theirs. We killed.
Oh my god, Jackdaw.
A Jackdaw. We killed, but we did lose a lot of our own shit as well.
Yeah, but at that point, I think we had dropped down to.
Like in that battle report is a little bit messed up as well.
It's messy, yeah. There's some extra shit that shouldn't be there, but here I'll go back.
Yeah, we were just in a bunch of thrashers.
We caught
basically.
Yeah, this Bifrost. Because there were
the fire.
The Bifrost were boosting us all over the place, and we managed to kill them at least. But yeah, we got the Bifrost. We got a Stiletto, Kiki, and in that one we also got the Jackdaw.
Yep.
Just the right.
Yeah, and then
I'm not even on the right kill board, but this is. Hold on, let me switch to the correct kill board.
You're on Emma's kill board.
I'm on your kill board.
Oh my.
I was on your kill board, but it's fine.
That's close to what happened.
Okay, we're it's on the next page. Yeah, but this will help a little bit because. Yeah, okay, this looks a little bit better.
Yeah, we lost a bunch of thrashers and shit like that.
Yeah.
It was a bloodied fight, but it was well worth it. Score wise, I think we came way out on top. So.
Yeah, and yeah, because we got a Kiki, we got Bifrost, we got Jackdaw.
The next one fight though was pretty fucking close because they had they came in with cruisers and we had.
Yeah, they came with cruisers.
Yeah, go to the last kill on that and do the related on it.
It's this one, I think.
Yeah. Yep. Because this was in Notorus, right? So we went into Notorus.
Yeah, this was in Notorus. And they came in. We were like, let's do it. It's the same guys that we had killed earlier, with some plow in there. So plow. And what ended up happening was we were just in small stuff, and Gwen was in her vengeance, and he was in a cock bag, and then we had the mighty endurance with us. R.I.P. the mighty endurance.
The endurance and your vengeance really bumped up our death, but I think that's also what helped us with being able to kill.
But the vengeance is also super cheap comparison. It's only like 40 mil or something. But yeah, we got their Vexor, and the Caracal, and let's see, the Vexor. Yeah, those are pretty good. That's what we got the Vexor first. That was when we all were still alive.
Yep.
And then the Caracal, we got it as we were all dying, and I think
And you
Elecons.
survived for like ever afterwards.
I was still alive after like all the fighting, but the Omen eventually ended me, because they were just all there, and it was everybody versus my vengeance at that point. It's like, what am I gonna do? I can't. I think Frozen was like, warp out, and I was like, no, I can't warp out. I'm fucking pointed like or like by 4 people. There's a yeah. But it was a really fun fight, because I got with this vengeance on those 2 cruiser kills before getting, and I think no, I guess not. But it was a lot of fun, and it was in the Tauros. So
Yeah,
and I'm trying to bump the numbers up in the Tauros still. I really want to
shout out to Notorious News. Like, that's the one thing we're doing with the Federation Frontline
the
too.
jewel
We're doing
of Black Raz.
another funny weird thing, which is like Notorious is the front line.
Yeah, we're doing a tour in Notorious.
Notorious is the front line.
This dead end system, but which is the jewel of Black Raz, is where we're at.
So we do have one more kill too that was really cool.
Yeah, I'm looking for. Why can't I see the Federation Frontline?
So
right there.
We caught a. So on Friday night, Judge Sarnes does
Sarn. Yeah, Judge Sarn.
Judge Sarn does a fleet, like a drunk fleet and stuff like that, every once in a while. And so I got word of this. I went along. We got like fucked with by like a rifter for a little while. And then he stopped us from using a filament. Every time we tried to use a filament, he would come in and burst jam us as we're on docking. It was annoying as fuck. So then we went to Tama, and the fucker, like, he's just like, kill the fucking marshal. And so, because there's this big gate camp going on. You know, it's snuff. They've got capitals and all this other shit. And he's like, kill the marshal. And then he's like, kill the panther, actually. That thing's about to die. So the panther goes down, and I'm dead just as the panther's going down. And I miss out on the panther kill. I was so sad on that. But whatever. I'm just a shitty-ass thrasher. And I didn't think that they were going to be able to bring down the marshal. But then all of a sudden, he's like, so after the panther went down, the marshal just got melted. And we didn't have, like, look at what our fleet is. Caracals and like a Dominic's and Thorax. There's a hurricane.
Prophecy.
Like, that's not enough to just
that's a Cerberus.
Yeah, it is a Cerberus. It's not that shouldn't melt with. They had Logi, they had, fucking a fax on field that they dropped. I mean, like, after that we could not kill the fucking like rapier and shit like that they had left on field. Like, we survived for a long ass time. It was really weird. I have no idea. I feel like the judge just like made them drunk just by existing.
Osmosis.
And yeah, it's just like, because it was the dumbest thing ever, and it was so funny. I couldn't believe that it worked out. Like, we killed that, and then we killed like an assault frigate too. Like, it was ridiculous. They like kept on sinoing in more and more caps. It was crazy. Like, go to the related on that real quick.
Jesus.
Like, they had an insane amount of fucking capitals, like 4 capitals and not including the facts that they also brought in.
Yeah, this is 2 Nixes.
No,
it's a Thanatos.
Yeah, Thanatos. It's 2 Thanatoses. Like,
no, the Nix was what blew up our fucking station. I remember.
A Dread. They brought in a Dread. The Phoenix.
Oh yeah, the Phoenix.
Yep,
right
3 carriers and a Dread. A Nid, 2 Thanatos, and a Phoenix. Yeah, so along with a bunch of other... well, the kill board is all fucked up on this one here. If we had more time, I'd like to show you. There are ways of fixing all of this. You can use a link in here in order to like go through and fix all of that to make it proper, but Um, but we don't have time. They just had a ton of weird shit, and we were all shooting each other too. I'm sure I didn't get to shoot. I should have shot the fucking Reds that were in my fleet, because there was a couple war targets that were in my fleet. But really,
It's just
I didn't want to shoot them as much as I really wanted to shoot that Marshal and that Panther. And then I ended up like coming back as well and getting killed the second time. But yeah, that was just a lot of fun. It was ridiculous. It shouldn't have happened. The Panther. What was the Panther?
yeah,
1.7 billion or something.
1.7 billion, but the Marshall was almost 11 billion. It might as well have been 11 billion. And you know what? Fuck snuff and take that. God damn it! You blow up our two shitty structures that cost
we'll
half
be in
the
a
price
fleet
of,
that goes and fucks your shit up.
and we'll get on the kill.
We're gonna get on that
for
kill.
your Marshall.
But yeah, so
that
I think the last little bit here, if we kind of I just want to touch base on it though, is there's the war zone has been shifting once again. Looks like the Amar and the Keldari are on a massive offensive. We did take Marathon, which is huge.
And we're gonna take Natoros.
And we're gonna take Natoros. But we've lost a lot of stuff. Do you have that ability to click on that link real quick and bring that up? I think it was.
Let me open the link. Okay, well.
So yeah, looks like the Keldari have taken, in the last 7 days, they've taken 1, 2, 3, so 3, 5, 6. Looks like 6 systems in the last 7 days. The Galente have taken 3, 4 systems, and the Amar have taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see,
6, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there's been a lot of swing back over to the Amar, swing back over to the Amar, and a swing back over to the Keldari. The Mimitar and Galente are taking a little bit of a hit in the war zone. We hit tier 2 for just a little while.
We did a few faction missions.
Yeah, that was kind of fun. But we went immediately back down to tier 1. And we'll see how it goes. You know, we need more support. We're still outnumbered heavily. You know, the Federation Frontline Report monthly report will be coming out soon. Faction Warfare monthly report. So we'll get that out there. Go over this a little bit more. But yeah, it's pretty rough. Jump onto the winning side if you want to be a dick. No, just joking. Or, you know, come on over and fight the underdog fight that there is. Help us bring back the Federation to the glory days of 2008.
Well, I think that's all we have for everybody today. Thank you all for watching. If you're interested in joining up in the war effort, just send messages to Federation Frontline in game. Talk to Recruiter. Talk to Frozen. Just spam Frozen Fallout. Spam Gwenevit Kenyon. In game.
Yeah, and we've got a chat channel now. The
Federation Frontline
chat channel in game. You can contact us there.
Yeah, and that's open. Anybody can join that one, right? That's public.
Yes. Yep. That's open to the public.
And as far as the show is concerned, we broadcast live Sundays at 2300 Eve time, 5 p.m. Central on Twitch. But if you missed this live, you can listen to our podcast, The Federation Frontline Report, at federationfrontline.com or on YouTube or Spotify, iTunes, and any of your favorite podcast app. You will find us there. If you have news, or after action reports, we're still paying for those, 10 to 100 million ISK potentially per, depending on the quality. And I think we're backed up a little bit. I think we might have some submissions that we will be working on.
We need to work on.
But again, Frozen, thank you for being on and being interviewed, and thank you everybody for listening. Do you have anything else for us, Frozen?
Just that we got a new website,
Yeah.
thefederationfrontline.com, and I think it's really cool. I feel it looks really cool. Samson made some cool graphics, and the Federation Frontline is recruiting. We're out there, we're kicking ass, taking names. I definitely.
And you will get kills.
Yes.
If you come out with us, you definitely get kills.
You'll also die. I guarantee you're gonna get.
Oh, absolutely, you're gonna die. You're gonna die anyway. You might as well get kills while you're dying.
Right.
Right. Like it's Eve. You're gonna die. It's a game.
And yeah, Bath says that he's considering putting an alt into FW.
Yeah, do it.
And do it. Yeah, do it. Do it. 100%.
Come out with us. He's like, but I'm gonna put it in Caldari.
I'm gonna get that.
We'll fight you on the field.
I'm gonna get that skis. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. Thanks for interviewing me, Sam. It's been great, and I look forward to interviewing you next week.
Yeah, sounds good. Fly dangerously.